Namaskar, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and valued participants. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the 52nd webinar organized by Metalogic Projects Management Services Private Limited. I am Monica Bachchan, founder of Metalogic PMS, and I'm delighted to see wonderful people like you today's session on advancements in bulk material handling at ports. At Metalogic, we have always strive to bring forward the most relevant and impactful topics to help industry professionals stay ahead of the curve. Today's discussion is particularly significant as the efficient handling of bulk material at ports is critical to the seamless operations of global supply chain. With advancements in technology, the potential for optimization in this area is vast and exciting. Our goal today is to delve into the latest innovation, best practices, and emerging trends that are transforming bulk material handling at ports. From automation and robotics to new handling techniques and equipment, we will explore how these advancements are improving efficiency, reducing cost, and minimizing environmental impacts. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed panelists who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to this discussion. I would like to welcome our panelists starting from Shri Santosh Kumar Mahapatra, IAS, Independent Consultant on Ports, Projects and PPP, formerly a member of Indian Administrative Service of 1976 batch from Gujarat cadre. Mr. Mohapatra has served in senior position in the government and public sector, Secretary to Industries, Government of Gujarat, CEO Gujarat and Infrastructure Development Board, MD of Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam Limited, and chairman of Paradip Port before he quit the government position to build a new port at Dhamra, Odisha as CEO of Dhamra Port Company Limited. Then a joint venture of Tata Steel and L&T. The port became operational in 2011 and was taken over by Adani Group in 2014. I welcome you, Mr. Santosh Kumar Mohapatra. Our second panelist we have today is Mr. Manish Gupta, Senior VP and Unit Head, Paradip Terminal from JSW Infrastructure. We have our third panelist, Dr. Kishore Gola, Deputy Director at Visakhapatnam Port Authority. Your expertise and insights are invaluable, and I'm confident that today's discussion will be enlightening and thought provoking for all of us. Before we begin, I would also like to inform you to mention about our upcoming physical conference on iron ore scheduled to take place on June 21st at Novotel at Visakhapatnam, India. This event promises to be a remarkable gathering of industry leaders and experts discussing critical issues and innovation in iron ore beneficiation, production, and market dynamics. We look forward to your participation and contribution to make it a grand success. Today's webinar is special as it marks another milestone in our journey of fostering knowledge and collaboration within the industry. We have come a long way since our first webinar, and I'm proud of the platform we have created for industry professionals to share insights, debate ideas, and drive progress. Without further ado, let's dive into today's topic. I encourage you all to actively participate, ask questions, and make the most of this opportunity to learn and network with your peers. We will also be having some poll questions, so be attentive and respond to the polls. Thank you once again for joining us today. Let us make this session a memorable and enriching experience for everyone. With this, I would like to welcome Shri Santosh Kumar Mohapatra, IAS Independent Consultant on Ports, Projects, and PPP, to please open the session, sir. Over to you. Please unmute your mic.
Thanks, Monica, for the introduction, and I'm happy to be part of this webinar. I think we have limited time as usual, and I'll spend the next 7 minutes to build a port which can handle bulk material efficiently and effectively, cost effectively. Because we are talking about bulk, So we are talking of volumes, very huge volumes. It is not like 20 TU or 40 TU. It is something like hundreds of thousands of tons of material coming in and going out. Ajay Dog beam at 3 to 3.5 times the volume of raw material, minerals to build only 1 ton of final metal. So when the volumes are large, it doesn't mean that the value is low, but yes, there is something in the value volume ratio which makes the operation highly cost sensitive, meaning that the cost of logistics become a very significant part of the cost of manufacturing of the final product. And that is why the exporter, importer, everybody, the manufacturer want to keep the cost within limits. That being so, we start building the ports, starting from choosing the location and designing the port, right? Now, uh, now everybody knows how expensive it is to carry material on land compared to carrying it in the sea. Those who have steel plants in Rourkela, Jamshedpur know that they spend between Paradip and Rourkela, Paradip and Jamshedpur almost nearly as much as they spend from Australia to Paradip and sea. But that's the kind of ratio between cost on land and cost on sea. So you cannot have a location of a port which is very far on land from where the destination or origin is. I should say not more than 500 to 600 kilometers in any case. And therefore, look at the map, the Bay of Bengal, and find a location which is within about 600 kilometers from where your steel plant is, where your destination is, or where your origin is. Now, having said that, handling volumes, again, from the point of cost, would also depend on size. Like if you bring in a bigger size vehicle, the per ton cost will be less than if you bring it in a smaller vehicle. And the same is much more true on sea. If you bring it, let's say, from Australia in a Cape-size vessel, it may cost you between $5 to $10, depending on the charter rates, less than if you bring it in a Panamax size vessel. So therefore, the bigger the vessel, the less the cost, which means that you need a port which can handle bigger vessels, which means that you need a port at a location which is either in the deep sea itself or which is within a channelable distance from the deep sea, within about 20-25 kilometers from where the sea is naturally 20-meter deep. Yeah, so take the hydrography chart. You may find that the deep sea is nearer as you go south, and the deep sea is farther as you go. And the deep sea becomes more than 50, 100, and 150 kilometers from where the nearest land point is. So therefore, choose your location accordingly. Choose your location. The third thing is you are not going to, your capacity will depend on how fast you evacuate. And you are not going to evacuate by road. Yes, you will use road, but not much. You will evacuate by a more cost-effective method like train, if not inland waterway, which is something of the future which we cannot ignore. But where the nearest railway line is also important to you. So you have to build a railway line to connect your port with that main railway line. And if it is 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers, it is okay. If it is very long, then you may end up building a railway line with a port at the end of it, rather than a port with a railway line connecting it. So you have to also look at the location where it's not very far away from the nearest existing railway line of the Indian Railways. Now, having chosen your location, now let's build the port. By now, I think we must have started dredging and we must have started preparing our channel, because to handle such a large volumes, we also need a large backup area where the material can be stacked, where the trains can take a round turn, where you can have long sidings. So you need not a few acres of land, you need hundreds and hundreds of acres of land. And one way of getting that land is to reclaim the sea if it's possible. And therefore, if you have planned your channel properly, maybe you can use that dredging spoil to create a little more land for yourself also. So that is another requirement. I hope you have taken care of it. I hope you have already designed your breakwater. There may be natural naturally tranquil parts of the sea, but please check it properly. By the time you do your channel and everything, the currents and other characteristics will change, and you may not get the same tranquility for berthing as you thought you would get before you build the port. So be very careful on that. I can always say that a breakwater is always a better bet than depending on natural forces for your tranquility. So I hope you have built a breakwater. Now you plant the berths. Now you are going to get bigger ships. You need at least 350-meter long berths. And since always it won't be super capesize vessels, sometimes there will be smaller vessels also. It's better you keep your berths on one line, like you have a kilometer of berth, so that it can take 3 capesize vessels or 4 Panamax size vessels as and when you have that flexibility. You will learn that in handling bulk, flexibility and versatility are the two most important criterion, because otherwise the cost goes up. The cost goes up. Now, obviously, you are going to handle bulk material both for import and export. You may export iron ore, you may import coking coal and limestone. So the port has to have both the facilities, loading system and unloading system. Uh, will the same berth able to handle both loading and unloading? Yes, it can, but then the efficiency will be less. You have to compromise on efficiency. The same conveyor belt can also travel reverse, but that won't be a very efficient conveyor system. So you have to have loading berths separate from unloading berths. And now we are getting into greater detail about the loading system and unloading system. For the loading system, loading means loading onto the sea. You need a ship loader, you need a conveyor system and a backup area from where the reclaimer will reclaim it, and on the on the conveyor belt will take you to the loader where you load it. But before that, you have to unload it from the train. So you would need perhaps tipplers to tipple the wagons, but the wagons will be always in short supply, and there will be two types of wagons. The bottom opening wagons may carry certain things, and these days it will be a pity if any wagon goes back empty or comes empty only to serve your port. So it's better that you have a tippler system as well as a hopper receival system, so that you can receive from bottom opening wagons as well as the standard wagons. And so now you have a complete loading system, uh, uh, a system that can tipple, a system that can receive from bottom opening wagons, and you have stackyards, and you have reclaimers, and you have conveyor belts, and if you have a ship loader, you have the loading system in place. And similarly for the unloading system, you need unloaders. There are so many options, but I tell you, looking at the nature of our material, the way they can change in size and in their characteristics, there is my take is for going for grab unloaders, and they will never fail you. So have grab unloaders, and your conveyor system, again stackers, again reclaimers. But this time you won't unload from the trains, you load into the train. My take is go for a silo loader system, which is the most efficient. You can load a whole train in an hour or hour and a half. In no other system you can do that. But having done that, please have the flexibility of two long sidings where you can do manual loading also, because things are always unpredictable, and we cannot always leave everything to a fully automated system where things happen precisely with clockwork precision. So you have the loading system and unloading system. If you are able to get about a 45,000 ton per day of unloading, and nearly that 30 to 40,000 of loading, perhaps you are a good port. Perhaps you are internationally comparable, and it's quite possible to do that. I have, in short, built a port for you. Now it's not so easy. There are many issues, and I'm sure you will ask them. There will be issues about the nature of the material. There will be environmental issues about which cargo can contaminate the other cargo because they're not packed. Um, I remember our designers came out with a plan, layout plan where the iron ore was near the sea and the coal was away from the sea. I told them, why don't you follow Vastu? In Vastu, you keep the heavier thing on the southwest and the lighter thing on the northeast. And perhaps for 9 months in a year, the wind direction is from southwest to northeast. So it's better that the heavier thing is from where the wind is blowing and the lighter thing is at the other end so that they don't contaminate each other. But I'm sure this Vastu will not work on the western coast of India. But eastern coast, yes, this rule will work. So there are many considerations. You will need a number of brainstorming sessions with your engineers, designers, before you finally arrive at the layout. Thank you very much. With this, I stop and I invite questions if you have any to discuss.
Thank you so much, and quite stories, very practical. Good to hear, sir. I want to raise one question to you that can you elaborate on the current strategic development in the port sector in India and how they align with global trends, sir?
As far as bulk material is concerned, right?
Yes, 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 correct.
Uh, our bulk material handling policy will depend quite a bit on the steel policy of the government of India, right? Like if you have to raise the production to 300 million ton or 500 million ton in future, like the policy says, you have to you have to go in detail into calculating how much of what material will come in and how much of what material will go out. I can see that we'll need to import a whole lot more of coking coal and limestone, and maybe our export of iron ore will reduce, but our coastal transportation of iron ore will increase. So as far as ports are concerned, they are not bothered whether it is going to China or to Karnataka. I mean, the loading system onto this ship will remain the same. Our ports have to gear up for this increased volume handling in future, and they are aware of it. They are aware of it, and I remember the first breakthrough in bulk cargo handling was spurred by nothing but thermal coal movement from the central and eastern part of India to South India. And I was part of building the first mechanized automated cargo handling system, and that was the coal handling system in Paradip, which was done with ADB aid and with Australian technology. We had a dozen Australian experts staying with us for a good 5 years or so to complete that project. But that opened our eyes. For the first time, we had a full-blown automated bulk handling system. And today, of course, Dhamra is Gangavaram. They all have highly mechanized systems, and Mundra also has. The whole country has. Um, if you are talking of the whole world, there are a lot of uncertainties about who will export and who will import, whether India will continue to export iron ore or the stage will come, it will stop it. And in which case, whether the whole world will depend on iron ore only coming from Australia and Brazil and far up destinations. There are quite a few uncertainties, no doubt. But in India, perhaps we are quite, Atmanirbhar as far as iron ore is concerned, but needing more for exporting steel cannot be ruled out.
Right, sir. So I'll come on to the few more questions in a while. Meanwhile, we will take Mr. Manish Gupta. You were the Sir Santoshji, you were the chairman of Paradip Port Trust, and JSW Infrastructure is managing a terminal. Manishji is heading the division. So I'll quickly move on to Manishji. And before that, just give me a moment. I want to raise a poll question. So I'm raising a poll question for our audience. So the question is, how familiar are you with the latest advancements in bulk material handling technology at ports? Very familiar, somewhat familiar, not familiar. Please submit your votes. You can see in your chat box. The question is there, and respond to the question. Meanwhile, I request Manishji to please, I'd like to welcome you and open your presentation and do the screen sharing. And along with your presentation, sir, do also share your experience. Like Santosh ji has a vast experience, and with reference to your PPT, we would definitely like to hear what kind of advancements you are seeing at the ports. So over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Santoshji. You have a very wide experience, and we have taken some of your legacy here, understanding how you started with MCHP, and we have done a little bit by making another terminal for coal, which is known as PQPC-TPL in Paradeep. We also have a Paradeep terminal for handling iron ore. So I just share the presentation and then we start. Yeah, so I hope the presentation is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Good. Okay, fine. So before I start the presentation, so I have been working in JSW Infra for almost now 4 years, taking care of the project, as well as now these two terminals are in operation, both the coal terminal as well as our iron ore terminal. Prior to that, I was taking care of VGCB, which is in Visakhapatnam, which is Vedanta. And my earlier experience has been in buying coal, buying iron ore, and selling steel. So that is the background I have in this test. So I'll take a little bit forward where Mr. Mapacha just shared that, of course, if there is a port, it has to be on a shore, right? So, of course, that is very correct. And I would only give some detail as to what are the various technologies which now people are following while we are making breakwater. So we are also in a process of making another port in the eastern side of India, where breakwater we will be using Acroport as one of the breakwater things, and also Acroburn for taking care of the tow protection. So this is something really good, which has also been done previously in Gopalpur, which we understand. So this is a technology where huge waves and breakwater, which protects the tranquility, and the port premises becomes tranquil, is very effective. Coming to the basin tranquility, of course, we need to see that once you're there in the berth area, the basin and everything should be tranquil, and you should have a sufficient backup area, as what Santoshi told. Now, coming to the various berth patterns, like how do you protect your face? So we have used a sheet pile in one of our sites, which is very effective. We can also use your
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Sir, sorry to interrupt. There is some disturbance in your voice coming in. Everyone is saying, and just little disturbance is there in the audio, sir.
Okay, I'll try to be close to the mic. I hope it is fine now.
It is loud. Yes.
Okay, fine. So basically, to make a berth, we can ideally use a sheet pile, or we can use your RCC, this thing, where it doesn't break your particular berth. So this is a retaining wall, basically. Now, apart from that, you need to ensure that the berth is having sufficient strength to handle or to take the weight of the heavy equipments like your unloaders and your ship loaders. Because nowadays we try to make our berths which are more mechanized. If they are not mechanized, then we need to use equipments which are heavy and where we need to unload manually. So these equipments can also have a load. So in short, we have to have a berth which can withstand say 3 to 5 tons in a meter square area. So this is the kind of design parameters which a person can utilize while they're making a berth. I will take you through the presentation where I have listed some of the things for automation, digitization, and IT. So in all, we have got around a couple of ports here, 10 to 15 ports, and we handle around 170 million tons of cargo as of now, but in future, we will be handling around 240 million tons of cargo where the projects are running or under completion. So if I have to talk about the guiding principles of digitization, so first of all, the port has to be paperless. Your man and machine interface should be minimum. The intervention should be there. If the machines can be unmanned, that is the best part. And the equipment should work in such a way that we have a safe environment. In terms of our data, it has to be an integrated data to reduce the manual entry. When we say integrated data, because a lot of incoming material is coming in the port and a lot of vessels are going out. So if this can be there in a particular in one portal, in one system, it helps the community, both in the port as well as the external community. We need to have the business and operational intelligence, and information security is a must, because it should not so happen that somebody comes and enters and prevents you in operating your port. You need to have an integrated IT automation system, and your governance system should be within the premises of whatever you're building as a system. So what we have done, I would like to explain this. So in our case, we have tried to take where all the stackers and reclaimers in both our terminals and otherwise in such a way that they are all PLC controlled and SCADA based, and they have a control room wherein you can monitor their feed rate, you can monitor the load rate of the conveyors and the loading as in the vessels sitting in a control room. So just if I have to explain what we have in a terminal. So in our iron ore terminal, we have got a tippler, a twin tippler, we have got a single tippler, and then it is connected to a yard through a conveyor line. Then we have yards where we have got the stackers. We have got stacker reclaimers as well, wherein these can be used both for stacking as well as reclaiming. Then these reclaimers are used for loading into the vessel. We have got two ship loaders, which has a capacity of load around 7,000 metric ton in an hour. So dominantly we try to finish a cape in say 1 hour, 1.5 days. So for utilizing this heavy equipment and the conveyor, we are trying to use minimal manpower, and all of this is done having a control room, and all the stop-start of all our equipment as well as conveyors are done using the control. We use a lot of RFID because a lot of trucks come in for iron ore incoming along with the rakes. So we use a lot of RFID to connect the traffic, understanding what is there, which is moving out of the mines, and what is finally coming to our terminal, what is the things in there in transit, so that we can regulate the traffic in the premises of our terminal as well as outside. Same way, we regulate our traffic of rakes by looking at what are the details available in FOIS, and then this is integrated with our internal system. We have mechanized cranes that is normally used for moving some of the items here and there within our premises. We are trying to use geospatial solutions, which is basically what we do is we try to map the storage area, and based on the profile of the storage, we manage how the stacking has to be done, and then finally the equipment, that is the reclaimer, is guided as to how the reclaiming is done, so that it is more efficient and productive, because you are spending a lot of power in using the big equipment, and if you can maximize your utilization of this equipment, you save cost. So That's the whole principle of using the new virtual solutions and the equipment based on SCADA. So when we make the architecture of the whole system, so I am not only talking about a bulk terminal, but overall port. So first of all, it has to have automated marine operations. As of today, all our ports, normally they have a tugboat and there is a control room where they come to know from the vessel that it has arrived, and that pilot along with the tugboat goes and tries to get the vessel in. All this thing can be better managed if we know what are the vessels which are coming in, and this can be integrated with the information to the various berths and terminals within the port. Thereby, we can utilize, or the stoppage time of these vessels can be reduced. Same way, we have automated gates for bringing in the containers so that they don't have stopping or choking at the point of when they enter the premises. Then automated and remote STS for unloading containers, e-crane operation. Smart rail operation is that like what we do manually today, we try to get information from railway that where the rake is, and then try to manage the system inside. But if this can be integrated with our system, which has to happen now in future, then our operations would be much better. I talked about the yard management, then integrated stacker and reclaimer. This we already have. So if you see in an integrated system, we have got three parts. One is the terminal operation. Second is the business operation management, and finally the business performance management. So the marine operation or the vessel operation, storage, warehousing, receipt, gate operations, all these things come under the terminal operations, which we are trying to do by using the equipments which are integrated with our IT systems. Now the reports and the functioning of a terminal, that is finance management, procurement and inventory, asset life cycle, project management, HR, sales, marketing, these are done through a SAP system. These two systems have a common portal where the KPI of the ports are managed, like what is the TAT of a truck, what is the TAT of a vessel, how much time it's going to take to load, and how much time we have taken between the two vessels. So all these parameters are governed in a way so that we can improve by having this information what we have. So when we have a technology-driven port, then we definitely have more productivity. So one, we save on by tracking and monitoring, we save on time. While we are using these equipments, the handling losses are minimal, and we are using DFDS system and the filtering system so that the environment is protected. All if we do, then all are if we are effective in bringing down the TAT, whether it is rake, truck or vessel, we try to bring down the peritives, that is the damages, and thereby we become highly productive. If you see this particular photo, I am trying to show one of our port, which is in the west side of India, Jaigarh. You can see that we also have covered areas within the port. These are covered areas for storage of iron ore as well as coal. Now, these are the things which are used now and are being advocated in the future ports, so that the environment can be protected, and the cargo can also be protected because of if there is high moisture, then it's very difficult to transport the cargo. And if there is more of dust, then the whole environment becomes dusty and it's not environment friendly. So thereby we are trying to make big these kind of structures, which where our reclaimers and stackers will work within these structures and operate in the way they were operating earlier. The only difference is the environment will be protected. I am also going to share some glimpses that we have a surveillance system where we are trying to use our digital surveillance and exceptional analysis. So the whole port this is having a lot of cameras, say around 200 cameras, and these have analytics. These are Bosch cameras, and if there is any deviation to the way the things have to work, just for example, if a person is moving around in an area where he is not supposed to move, then there would be an alert and the security will sound off. Similarly, if a person is not wearing a protective clothing like a PP or a helmet, again there would be an alert. So if there is an unwanted area where the crowd is being formed because of any reason, that also alert would be done. So we have a 24/7 surveillance system which is managed by people who only work 6 hours in a day. So because of the high concentration and focus. I also talked about, so we in our coal terminal, we have got a track 2 track hoppers where we can unload VOBRM. In our iron ore, we have got tipplers where we can tipple the boxes. And then we have got stacker reclaimers in both the terminals and ship loaders. If you see in the middle slide, you have, this is the control room, which takes care or controls, or the person sitting can control the conveyor and the start and stop of the terminal for receiving and shipping route. So having said this, I would like to also share with you a case study which was done, which we have done in our Jagat port. You see that this is a schematic of our port, and we have got a portal wherein you can see, or our operation team can see, that what's happening in which berth and what is the load rate, where the cargo is getting unloaded, where it is getting loaded, and so on. So this is a glimpse of that. So generally, if you have a particular berth, it will talk about what are the various hatches, what is the quantity to be unloaded or loaded, and when it is being done, it is showing online in time, like what is the unloading happening, where, in which yard it is going, so that we can be more productive. So this is what is being shown, which stacker is being used, which conveyor, and from which hatch it is being taken out, and what is the time being taken. So this was my presentation, a glimpse of that. But if you have any questions, please, you're free to ask me.
Sir, there is a question from Mr. Saju Thomas. He want to ask, how can we reduce the handling losses at port while handling bulk cargoes, specifically coal and iron ore? And this is an open question where everybody can contribute. Yes.
Yeah. So hello, Mr. Saju. So basically, we have a lot of challenge in the bulk where there could be handling losses. But if you compare the handling losses, which are vis-a-vis a manual handling, these losses are minimal. Now, how we can reduce the losses? So it depends how the cargo is coming in. So if in a rake, a cargo is coming, which by some chance it has formed a slurry while coming in. So the cargo sticks on the sides of the box and rake. We try to unload, but then there is still some cargo which is left over. But once it comes to the conveyor and then towards the plot, because it doesn't fly anywhere because of the density, then the cargo is safe. And because we are reclaiming again and it is going via conveyor to the ship loader, the cargo handling losses are minimal. So what we need to do is we need to find our mechanism by which we can scrap through whatever is not getting unloaded because of the slurry or choking nature. If we can unload the total cargo within our terminal and then bring it to the our yards, then the mechanized terminals are the best to operate with.
Okay, and he has asked another question. How can we reduce the turnaround time of rakes and trucks for bulk cargoes?
Yeah. So in our case, I would talk about our case. So in our case, in a boxen where we bring iron ore, our turnaround time is 3 hours to 3.5 hours, which is the industry best, because for each boxen we have to cut 2 boxes and then staple them. So, and then in the end, we have to again couple them. So the total time when the rake is placed till the time it is grouped and sent back it is a minimum time which we take. In our track hopper, when we unload coal, we are taking time, say, between 1 hour to 1.5 hours, which is also not the industry best, but because there could be some boulders and impurities which hamper the functioning of the track hopper. But if the cargo is good, if we have washed coal, we have unloaded cargo even less than an hour. So that is a kind of TAT when it comes to mechanized unloading.
Right, sir. So before coming on to Dr. Kishore, I'm launching another poll. Audience, on your screen, on chat boxes, please check. The question is, what do you believe is the biggest challenge in bulk material handling at ports today? Your options are efficiency and speed, cost management, environmental impact, or technological integrations. What do you believe is the biggest challenge in bulk material handling at ports today? Efficiency and speed, cost management, environmental impact, technological integrations. I think all the options are interrelated, but do select only one. Okay. And okay, so I now like to move to Dr. Kishore Gola. Welcoming you, Mr. Kishore Gola. He's from Visakhapatnam Port Authority. Please open your PPT and request you to unmute yourself. Manish, please mute yourself. Thank you so much. I'll move on to more questions, so don't worry. And audience, please post your questions only in the Q&A boxes. Then only we will be able to take up. And this Q&A box is also visible to our panelists. So I request all the panelists to please go through with the Q&A boxes, the questions which we are receiving. So after Mr. Kishore Gola, we will be taking all the questions one by one. Over to you, Kishore ji.
Thank you, Monica ji. Thank you for giving an opportunity to share this stage with our enormous persons like Santosh Kumar Mohapatra and Manish Gupta ji, those who are having a vast knowledge and experience in the maritime sector, especially in the bulk cargo handling in the port sector. So before going for my presentation, I would like to say special thanks to everyone in this decorum. Thank you, Anurag. So I'm going to share my presentation, which will be helpful for the audience to better understand the technologies and the operational activities which are going in the port sector for handling the bulk cargoes.
Yeah, please open your PPT and share the screen.
Yes, please.
Slide more, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it okay?
Yes. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes. So before going, so what we have discussed about this topic is that advancement of bulk material handling management at port sector. So in this, we have taken the 4 key initiatives. That first one is handling about infrastructure and development of the infrastructure in ports for bulk cargo vessels handled at port. And the second one is automation and digitization of operational activities which are handling the cargoes. And next one, environmental concerns related to the bulk cargo handling in the port sector. So when we are talking about this on each and every topic, the first and foremost topic is that how to handle a bulk vessel in the port sector. So before going for that one, I would like to give small brief view about what is bulk cargo and what are all types of bulk cargoes we are handling in the ports. Generally, bulk cargoes in the port sector will be like this, which we are going to handle in the ports. First one is dry bulk cargo, wet bulk cargo, and liquid cargo. Generally, dry bulk cargo will be uniform in nature. It will be having like this. A coal will be taken as an example for the bulk cargo, dry bulk cargo. Iron ore also will be able to take it as a dry bulk cargo. Sand. So these kind of cargoes will be able to come as a what we have to tell. uniform in a particles structure and can able to take more volume of the cargo in a single vessels with geared vessels as well as ungeared vessels. Generally, this kind of a cargo can able to bring in the ungeared vessels where can able to handle more volume of the cargo, can able to bring from one country to another country where the resources are scarce, where the scarcity is more. We'll take an example of the China, where we will be able to send iron ore export to the iron ore from India to the China to what we call that to provide to overcome the scarcity of the that iron ore existing in the China and for designing or manufacturing steel products, which will be helpful for our real-time livelihoodness and all. And next, LPG cargoes. When we are going for the LPG cargoes, liquid, this petroleum products, natural gases. Next, that chemical tankers, which will bring from one country to another country, that bitumen, ammonium nitrate, all these kind of cargoes will be able to transport through maritime sector because of the transportation structure, transportation sector, which can able to offer a cargo with a minimum cost, comparing with the other transportation sectors like railways, roads, and air cargo and all. Okay. When we are coming for this berth infrastructure, the berth infrastructure will be having a capacity to handle more bigger vessels where we'll be able to operate with a maximum draft. So the keel existing at the berth side will be able to get it with a more volume kind of vessels, means 4 lakh DWT or more above kind of vessels will be able to handle it in a free manner without any tidal issues and all. So that's why draft is the biggest concern when we are going to handle the bulk cargo vessels. And the length of the berth also can able to take it into the consideration while we are going to handle the bigger size vessels, bigger size bulk material vessels in the port sector. And the equipment required for this handling the vessels will be vary from one type of cargo to the other kind of cargo. If you can take bulk cargo, liquid bulk cargo, can able to operate that liquid bulk cargo with a pipeline structure. This pipeline structure can able to offer you to connect with the destination location directly from the ports berth to that location as per this environmental safety, environmental concern as well as safety standards. So when we are coming for this other cargoes like dry bulk cargoes, the maximum can able to operate with the ship loaders or unloaders along with the ship cranes, HMCs and all, by connecting them with the conveyor belts and all. Okay. The size of the vessels will be vary from one type of cargo to the another kind of cargo based upon the DWT will be able to take it into the consideration for handling the bulk material in the port sector. If you can take dry bulk and break bulk cargoes, so the DWT will be changed based upon that that the size of the vessel will be also changed. Handymax vessels, Supermax vessels, Panamax vessels will be mostly will be able to handle as per the infrastructure existing in Indian conditions. The allowable draft will be up to from 12 meters to the 14.5 meters to handle this kind of size vessels. If you want to increase more bigger size vessels to handle at a port sector, you need to increase the draft of the vessels, and you need to increase length of the infrastructure of the port to handle that kind of vessels in the port sector. So generally, the port sector will be able to work on timely basis. The maximum will be taken into the consideration as hourly basis charges. So when we are going to calculate the performance of the port, turnaround time of the port as well as OSBD of the port will be coming into the picture, and also efficiency of the port will be able to consider when we are increasing the traffic of the berth by keeping more vessels in the by handling the more vessels on that particular berth to increase the efficiency as well as to increase the key performance indicators of the port. So while we are going to handle this kind of things, but to improve the performance and the efficiency, we need more bulk vessels, more fast-moving cargoes like coal, iron ore, next LPG vessels to bring into the ports for increasing the efficiency as well as for turnaround time and OSBT. So how it will be helpful while we are going to handle with the bulk materials in the port sector with the equipped infrastructure, mechanized equipped infrastructure, along with the digitization and automation, we'll be able to see in the next slides. Okay, generally a robotic infrastructure which will be required to handle the bulk cargo in the port sector will be like this: ship loaders, ship unloaders, as well as grabs will be the grabs, also ship cranes, as well as HMCs, where we can able to handle a more volume of the cargo at a time from ship to the shore, as well as from shore to the ship, as depending upon the type of operations we are doing, either import or export. And that movement of the cargo also will be able to take it into the consideration with the conveyor belt. For handling these kind of things, this infrastructure will plays a crucial role in the operations. These operations, the grab capacity, the size of the grabs, and the capacity, the mechanized equipment, what we are using there in that wharf or berth, will be helpful for you to improve your turnaround time of the vessel, as well as OSBD of the vessel. How much cargo we are handling on particular day will be calculated based upon that, and the specific gravity of the cargo also will come into the picture while we are going to handling the vessel with the by increasing the volume, as well as decreasing the time of the time duration, how much it is going to stay on the particular bed. Okay. And next, storage facilities existing in the port sector. So while we are going to discharging the cargo from the vessel to this wharf, we need to evacuate that cargo from wharf to the particular allocated plot. Either it is in the open shed or else closed shed, depending upon the environmental conditions, or allocated space. To move this cargo also can able to take it with the help of the conveyor, or with the help of this fast moving gate automation techniques, which will be helpful for us to minimize the traffic congestions in the port sector. Next, for a movement of the cargo through conveyor, also through ship loader, also can able to do with the help of the balancing of the cargo, with the help of the fog, sprinkling of the water, or sprinkling of this fog cannon machines for the cargo, to minimize the flow of the cargo by the nature of these cargoes, like coal, iron ore, which will flow across kilometers away from location to one location to the other location, which will impact the environmental conditions in the port, as well as city-based ports or portlet cities which are existing in the world. The basic structure will be taken like this. So whenever we are taking any bulk vessel, the bulk vessel will be come with the ungeared vessels or geared vessels. If it is coming with the ungeared vessels, it will come up with the hatches. If you are taking the hatches, each and every hatch will have uniformity and nature and capacity to handle the same size of the cargo, to balance the vessel movement in the sea water. Okay, to balance that cargo also, will be able to give tolerable fog sprinkling or water sprinkling for the along with the cargo, like coal, iron ore and all. And whenever we are taking that one to say adjacent to the berth, then that ship loader or unloader will come into the picture, and that unloader will take the cargo and will keep it on conveyor, and the conveyor will take that cargo to the designated plots. That plot may be an open plot or maybe a closed plot. You can see in this picture, you can able to see the open plot, you can able to see the closed plot also. If you can take a closed plot, that closed plot can mitigate the flow of the cargo when winds will be move in the hot air movement in the port sector, in the port, as well as wind movement in the port, to go adjacent aside of this city and all, so that can able to mitigate the environmental concerns and all. So whatever mechanization we are taking, the robotic mechanization what we are operating here, can helpful for you to minimize the environmental concerns, as well as to improve the efficiency and the performance of the port. See, take an example of this one. The advantages will be like this. Whenever we are going to handling the bulk cargo, so large volume of the cargo can able to handle in the vessel with the help of the vessel, so that automatically when we are increasing the large volume of the, when we are handling the large volume of the vessel, means we are minimizing the cost per ton, which will be helpful for the end user as well as the industries to manufacture end user product, end product for which will be give beneficiary for the consumers in the less price. So this kind of advantages by considering them, the maximum ports can able to show an interest to handle the bulk vessels in the port sector, in the ports, to improve their performance standards. These standards will be taken in as per the IMO norms and MARPOL regulations, which will be able to helpful for us to handle the vessels as per with minimizing the environmental constraints existing in the port sector. And if you can take bulk material, it will occupy the less space than comparing with the other materials. Like take an example of containers. If the container will be there, you can able to operate the container with 20 tons or 20 feet containers or 45 feet containers. Based upon that, the volume of the cargo will be changed. Within that space, you can able to operate more bulk cargo like a coal or iron ore as a plot. Within that plot, the permissible limit will be there. That within that limit only you can able to operate, but the volume will be increased compared to that container cargo what we are handling in the port sector. And also the machineries which will be helpful for the R&D projects will be able to transport through a port sector only, through ports only. So there also you can able to operate with a less price that cargo movement in the port sector based upon that total tonnage what we are taking into the consideration. Okay, next. Advanced cargo clearance also. If you can take a large, if you can take the bulk cargo, that bulk cargo, if you can go for the break bulk cargo, the cargo will be able to keep it in the bags format. We can take a steel bars or next fertilizers. You will be able to keep it in a bag, and you will be able to transport that bags within the in the vessel, keep it in the vessel as well as on the warp side of the berth, to minimize the cargo wastage, as per the earlier discussion with the Manish Gupta ji. You can see how that ship unloader is going to happen handling, and how it is going to transporting for the trucks as well as for the conveyors. You can able to see here. Okay, so it will be helpful for you to, as per the standards in the closed conveyor, when we are going to handling that cargo, there is a minimization of the spillage of the cargo when we are moving that cargo through conveyor. That point we have to see here. And when we are going for the environmental concerns, the basic thing what we have discussed earlier, dry bulk cargo and you will be able to flow across the kilometers away from one destination location, one designated plot allocated for this dry bulk cargo to the side of the city, or else citizens living in the city, to face environmental concerns. So that's the biggest problem. And along with that one, there is a possibility for the carbon emissions with the firing of that cargo, coal cargo, with combustion of along with this air and all, hot air and all. Next, another more constraint existing in this bulk cargo material management is human capital. When we are going for that environment, human capital, if they are not having the technical expertization for handling the mechanized equipment existing in the ports for handling the bulk cargo, there is a possibility for the spillage of the cargo within the roads of the port, as well as infrastructure designated plot allocated for the particular cargo. So to mitigate these things, the existing technologies what we are able to handle with the automation, and along with this digitalization for vessel clearances and all, we can able to see, as Manish Gupta ji already shared in the earlier demonstration about vessel clearance system for the document clearance system, what kind of operating systems are available in the present in maritime sector of India. Okay. This is the first and foremost thing what we need to go for environmental concerns for handling the cargo in a safety manner. See, fogging inside of the conveyor. You will just see here closure conveyor is available, and this closure conveyor is there from the wall side of the berth to designated location, which will be able to keep it that one. Okay, and when we are moving that cargo from the ship to designated location, the cargo can able to move in the dry manner. So to mitigate that dry manner, there is a possibility for the flying. So to mitigate that one, we have to give the moisture. We have to give the mixing the water in a tolerable level to suppress that cargo to the designated location, and also to mitigate the evacuation combustion with the hot air which will flow in the ports. Next, the one under environmental constraint, what we have seen in the earlier is that if you can keep the cargo in the open manner, it can able to fly across the city. So we can able to mitigate that flying with the help of the closed storage sheds. In the closed storage sheds, whatever cargo we are going to keep it inside of that, we'll be able to keep it within the closed shed only, and also to restrict that flying of the cargo from port to the city side.
Kishorji, I like to request you to be a little quick with the slides because I can give you maximum 5 more minutes to present.
No issue. I can able to keep that one, but I just want to show that how practically this kind of operations are happening in the port sector. If you can allow me for another 5 minutes, also will be helpful for the audience to better understanding the operations. You can see here what we have discussed now, that the flying of the cargo as well as combustion of the cargo with the air. All these two things you can able to see here. That smoke is coming from the due to the combustion, and also the flying of the air within the port from the coal. And the handling of the gypsum in the port also you have to see here with the help of the ship loaders. And the stacker and reclaimers also you have to see here how stacker and reclaimers are going to transport the cargo from the one within the port, and how we can able to suppress that flying of the cargo with the help of this fog and moistures. So sorry, fog and with the mixing of the moisture. So these are the different kinds of techniques, mechanized equipments, what we are going to use for handling the bulk material in the ports. You can see here the loaders, how the cargo can be loading into the vessel with the help of the combination of fogging to at the tolerable level to keep the cargo balance in the vessel. And next, digital technologies available for us to handle the robotic equipment using for the for handling the cargoes, bulk cargoes handling in the port sector. The first and foremost thing is that whatever mechanized equipment what we have seen till now, that loaders and unloaders, next ship cranes, harbor mobile cranes, front loaders, all these things can able to operate along with the IoT based sensors. For as per the safety standards, for keeping the safety inside the port, as well as for handling the cargo to prevent by keeping the preventive measures and all. So if you are going to handling the mechanical equipment, you cannot be able to see the faults within the mechanized equipment, since it is at micro level. We can able to check this kind of things with the help of the technologies, AI-based drones or as IoT-based sensors, which will be able to fix for the mechanized equipment within the port, within the equipment, and I can able to monitor with the help of the command control center. You can see the processes, what kind of a processes we are taking for the automation and what kind of operations we are going to take it for the digitalization. And when we are going for this kind of things, what kind of applications we are using for keeping them in for digital operations and automation operations and all. So when we are keeping all of them, generally a CCTV surveillance will be taken into the consideration for the safety standards for monitoring this unauthorized occupancy within the unauthorized access within the port, as well as for monitoring the safety safety of the workers who are working in the port by keeping the sensor IoT based sensors, as well as by keeping drones in the flying zones within the port sector, within the geofencing locations allocated for the particular drone. You can see here the port community can be helpful for you to take a document clearance. It's a single platform which will be able to call it as a maritime single window to operate that one. And when we are going for the port management, whatever operations we are doing in the port operations like marine, cargo, traffic, storage, next other kind of facilities what we are providing for these stakeholders, will be able to keep it in the port management application. And next, smart space, the designated locations which will be allocating for these port stakeholders for keeping their cargo within the port premises for the exporting or importing, will be keeping with the help of the geofencing coordinates by keeping the GIS based land management system application. And next, supply chain. So as mentioned earlier, there is a vast scope for the public to do the trading in the maritime sector by keeping 360 kinds of stakeholders in different operations. So we are keeping all of them in a single platform by keeping the supply chain management system, by shipping agents, ship owners, cargo owners, importers, exporters, stewards, port management, is our customs. Next, financial things, banking sector, commerce and trade industry. All these kind of things will keep it in a single platform, and we'll keep them as a supply chain management part of that. Next, when we are going for the shipping operations, the data sources which will be like this. When we are talking about the marine operations, the shipping will come into the picture. What kind of dimensions will be there for the shipping, for the ship, and from where it is coming and where it is going. These kind of things will be able to keep on monitoring with the help of the digital platform, like a port community system, that maritime single window under that AIS radar will keep on give the details of a vessel movement within the sea, and the data where we are capturing that will be helpful for you to keep make everything will be in a ready manner for handling the cargo, for handling the vessel within the port by provided details. Then last tick movement, so that the last tick movement within the port, when cargo will come from the ship to shore, then the cargo can able to go another by transshipment with another vessel, or else can able to move that cargo by trucks, by through road movement, or else by rail movement, like this, based upon the connectivity establishing between them. Next, tugboats will be helpful for you to berth the vessel from within the port limits. The pilots will take an action, necessary action to move the ship, to drive the ship from the port limits to the berth, keep on aside of the berth. And other kind of services also will be able to provide, and we will be able to integrate them with the integration solutions like API and EDI to minimize the duplication of the data. So the duplication of the data will be will not be helpful for you to take MIS or BI reports for improving the for taking the decision by the management for improving the efficiency and the performance of the port. Next, when we are talking about this safety point of view, see, as discussed earlier, with the help of the latest technologies, that IoT-based sensors for mooring and unmooring of the vessels within the port, when so many gangs will be able to allocate for that one. Also, for handling the cargo within the vessel, wharf of the vessel, with the safety standards, we'll keep that wristwatches with the IoT-based sensors, or else that keeping that safety equipment with the IoT-based sensors and all will helpful for you to monitor the person who is moving within the operational movement side. So whenever any incident will occur, we'll be able to acknowledge you, and also if anything will be beyond that particular limits, that means designated limits where the dangerous position will be there within the port. That means aside of the berth or equipment side of the equipment side of the equipment which will be placed at berth will keep you, will alarm you that you're in the dangerous position. So automatically the person can able to change his side based upon the alert what he has received. Even for the front loaders also can able to keep it like that. When we are keeping the bulk cargo, break bulk cargo within the side of the wharf before going for exporting the vessel, exporting the cargo to the vessel. Next, drone-based system. This AI-based drones are helpful for you to monitor preventive measures as well as incidents occurring within the
Sorry
ports.
to interrupt, Dr. Kishore. If I may ask you with regards to this PPT, have all these technology of safety and digitization have already been placed at Visakhapatnam Port Authority, or it's yet to be done?
See, this is the important point what you have mentioned, madam. But the thing is that these kind of technologies are in the present in the early stage. That means in the infant stage. So once if the technology will be proved, we can able to adapt. But the AI-based drones are already available in the present sector, and VP is going to plan for that operating this AI-based drones to prevent this environmental concerns, that flying of the cargo within the port from the port premises to the city side, because Visakhapatnam Port Authority is operating adjacent to the city, where a lot of people are living in the port in the city with environmental concerns from the which is going from the port. So that is first and foremost point. Then second one is
I'm asking you just with regards to last week we had a webinar on drones and AI. where we invited many drone companies who participated and presented in the webinar. So all the users and you can go to our YouTube channel and check the video and the presenters. They are all from the drone companies.
We can, ma'am. We can. There is no
Yes,
issue.
yes.
But the thing is that
I
how it will
request
be
you to
operating
please continue the PPT and finish it in a minute, please. The time is already over for you. Yeah.
This is what I want to tell them, ma'am. When we are going for these drones, how it will be helpful for the ports to minimize this environmental concerns for the as per the MARPOL regulations and the CPCB regulations, which for operating the bulk materials in the port sector. That's what I want to say. Here you can see the oil leakage of the from the LPG vessel. How it is going to monitor with the help of the drone also you can see. This is the geofencing coordinates which will be given for this AI-based drone, and how it is going to detect. You can see that marks where the oil spillage is happening adjacent to the LPG vessel, which is handling at the port. So this is only, madam. This digital twin is also helpful for you to improve your adoption of the technologies within the port, as per along with the parallel side of the manual operations which are going in the ports for minimizing the wastage as well as improving the efficiency of the port. That's only. Here, these are the key points which will be required for improving the bulk material management and handling in the ports, as well as these are the way forward for the handling of the bulk material management in the ports. That's all. Thank you all of you for giving an opportunity to discuss about this bulk material management in the ports and how BPS adopted already handling of this closure conveyor system and HMCs plus ship cranes in the ship loaders, ship unloaders for handling the bulk material in the port sector, along with the environmental consent, environmental guidelines issued by the CPCB and MARPOL on regular basis.
So this was a wonderful presentation, Dr. Kishore, and now we will start the Q&As. I request Santosh sir to please turn on your camera, and you can stop sharing the screen now.
Okay.
So I have a question from Mr. Ramakrishna Panda. Santosh sir, you're there? If you could turn on your camera and mic, please. I have a question for you.
I'm there. I haven't left.
Okay, okay. So there's a question from Mr. Ramakrishna Panda. He want to ask you, I understand Paradip Port is extending her to do so. And Mr. Ramakrishna Panda is a marine section head at AFCON Infrastructure. So.
Yes, I'm not part of the latest developments in Paradip Port, but I can understand that with the expansion of the port, an extension of the breakwater will further enhance the tranquility of operations inside the port.
Maybe Mr. Manish would also like to add
Manish,
up after you.
And I can only add that, now perhaps there must be some expansion plan in the outer harbor area where we have the oil jetty, etc. And those areas will certainly benefit by an extension of the breakwater. Manish, are you aware of anything else?
Yeah, in Paradip, there is a lot of expansion which is going on. Recently, a project has been awarded to KSPL for Western Dock, and with this, they also plan to get more Cape vessels, and because of this, they are extending the breakwater and also trying to increase the depth by dredging. So that's the reason.
Sure.
Mr. Sanjay want to ask
one more point for that.
Yeah. Dr. Kishore.
Yes. Has been mentioned is absolutely right. If you are increasing the breakwater, means there is a possibility for the expansion of the port for in terms of the capacity, and also you can able to viable for handling the different kinds of cargoes based upon the availability of the space and based upon the evacuation of the cargo.
Right. So I'm taking up the next question of Mr. Sanjay Kumar. He's asking, is there any technology to trace metallic uneven size pieces from the 2-meter height pile of oxides like cold DRI or iron pellets?
The existing technology is only one thing, but as far as my knowledge, IoT-based sensors will be there. The particle futures will be there. Based upon the futures, what we are going to take it into the consideration for calculating the size of the material. will be able to operate, and we can able to find out the size of the iron ore particles which he has mentioned. With the help of the event-based sensor, there is a possibility.
The question from Mr. Vikas Apte, he's asking from all the panelists, can you please share the most optimum specific energy consumption figures of kilowatt per ton for dry bulk and wet bulk materials such as mineral, food grain, petrol, oil, lubricants, LNG, LPG, etc. Do we have that or?
So I would only say that he can take this question offline, but
okay.
These numbers cannot come often. So basically, we need to look at which equipment are being used to handle that per ton material, whether a tipper is being used or a track hopper, how much length of conveyor is being used, which are the reclaimers and stackers, and finally shipload. So it doesn't depend upon, it is not a constant figure. It depends upon which equipment you're going to use.
And Manishji, he has another question for you. He's asking.
Two points. Basically, we as a port authority will be able to operate the cargo. We will not be able to find out what's the amount of energy we'll be able to generate from that particular material.
I suppose you can find a rule of thumb about, it would be interesting to find out and compare. Most of the operations are fully mechanized, means they are energy dependent, and how much cargo we are handling and how much is the energy bill of that particular handling system, and keep track of it. I would not guess any figure at this stage, but it would be very interesting to keep track.
Exactly, yes. I agree with Santoshji. So if it is possible, then I think we must try to do that. At least as the part of energy efficiency and all those aspects, we will be able to figure out the energy consumption. Okay, so Vikasji has asked you another question to Manishji. Are any of the port of JSW covered under PAT scheme of Bureau of Energy Efficiency? If yes, then how many E-sets earned? Is it E-certificates? I don't know. I request all the audience, usko short form mein mat likhiye, please write it in a long form. Yeah.
Yeah. So in pursuance of our sustainability goals, we are going for energy conservation in all our ports, and we have started this with our Jagger port. So we can always ask in detail later on.
Okay. And Mr. Ananda Mandal is asking, what are the mechanical learning tools used in material handling at port? Machine learning tools, sorry. What are the machine learning tools used in mechanical handling at port?
CCTV surveillance you can able to take, madam. Next sensor, the drone system also you can able to take it to monitor the preventive maintenance of the mechanized equipment. What we are going to handle the bulk cargo like front loaders, next harbor mobile cranes, rubber grantees, or next other equipment. So dumpers also you can able to monitor with the help of the ML based techniques.
Okay.
This ML technique will be helpful for you to generate the data only, but the decision will be able to take it at with the help of this ML techniques as per the recommendations we'll receive from the ML algorithms, what we are going to incorporate for that.
I'm launching one more poll question to your audience and request you to please be active and start voting on your chat screens. The question is, what technological innovation do you think has the most potential to revolutionize bulk material handling at ports? Your options are automation and robotics. Second option is advanced conveying systems, real-time data analytics, or sustainable handling practices. So which technological innovation do you think has the most potential to revolutionize bulk material handling at ports? Automation and robotics, advanced, yes.
Can you answer from my mind?
Yeah, of course, you can always add your point, yes.
Automation and robotics will be helpful for us to minimize the cost per ton while we are handling the cargo in the for the bulk cargo in the port sector, madam. This cost impact will be helpful for the end users to get more benefits. Automation and robotics, basically. If you are increasing the automation, means there is a possibility for the minimizing the spillage of the cargo and wastage of the cargo. Automatically, it leads to helpful for the end user when we're going for the manufacturing industries, for building but designing or manufacturing a product in a less price for the consumers.
There's one question from Mr. Tapaj Mishra. He's asking, what is the impact of situation on operation of ports in India where we stand straight the draft offered by Chinese ports?
Again, drafting is totally depending upon the keel length, which will be helpful for operating the vessels within the port, and the rock surface which will be there in the which will be able to mounting at the draft adjacent to the berth. Based upon that,
could you repeat the question? Could you repeat the question? He's asking something different.
When we are comparing with the China, see, there is possibility for the structure will be changed from sea to sea. And the location.
Santosh sir, yeah, sorry to interrupt. The question was, what is the impact of situation on operations of ports in India where we stand against the draft offered by Chinese ports?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. I remember back in 90s when I wanted to deepen Paradip port draft, the resistance was that said no point because the same ship goes to China and China doesn't have deeper than this. So this very interesting that there's no point in deepening your port if the corresponding receiving port or sending port in the other place doesn't have that draft. But over a period of time, I think as far as dry bulk cargo is concerned, all the countries, all the players, Australia, China, and India, have today ports with deep drafts of more than 18 meters. And therefore, we are in the right position and in the right strategy of building new ports with plus 18-meter draft and old ports trying to deepen. I suppose Paradip's new expansion must be 17 to 18-meter deep. Manishji?
Yeah, so just to add on, in Paradip, we have made a deep draft Cape handling berth, which is our berth, as well as KICT, which is our adjoining berth. But apart from that, because now a lot of cargo, which is coal cargo, is moving from this side, that is Salcher, using this RSR mode, to south and east as well as west. They are using Cape vessels now, and thereby now PP has already dressed to 16 meters. The berths which are EQA 123 as well as EQ 123. So this is a big step in getting bigger vessels and unloading both in Krishnapatnam as well as down south in Ennore. It helps in cost.
Uncrane vessels also will bring more cargo, madam. Instead of depending on the draft, but with the existing draft also we can able to handle larger size vessels.
I'm raising our last.
But you will not be able to handle the cargo. You can handle the vessel, but if you need to load more cargo, so in a Cape, I hope you will load 160, 170, right? You will not compromise with 140. So that is the reason.
2.5 lakhs. Yeah. 2.5
lakhs. There may be a difference of half a meter here and there because of the design of the ship and the bottom and all that. But that's, I mean, you need depth. Let's not get out of it. Right? You need draft.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that is a point where all the ports are working on right now in India. So I'm raising the last poll question in front of you. How do you foresee the role of sustainability influencing future advancements in bulk material handling? Do you see this as a major driver or moderate influence or minimal impact, or you are unsure? How do you foresee the role of sustainability influencing future advancements in bulk material handling? And you can always add your comments. Because sustainability is something in fact, in our conferences and webinars, we are talking a lot when we talk about the mining operations or the steel making, and now with the ports. I think sustainability is something which is unavoidable.
The important part is that if you have a sustainable port, then if you have to spend funds, which is from the market, you get at a cheaper rate. So the most important thing is, the funds availability if you are a sustainable port. for any sustainable project?
The basic thing I need to add one more point along with this Manish Gupta's response. Smart port technology, whatever they're available in the market, we can able to adapt to minimize the cost per ton. So automatically, when we are minimizing the cost per ton along as per in line with the environmental concerns, there is a possibility for the sustainability. It can able to take it as a sustainability for improving the growth in a proactive manner.
So one common question I want to ask from Mr. Santosh and Mr. Manish, how is Paradeep terminal addressing environmental concerns related to bulk material handling, and what sustainable practices have been implemented? If I ask you that as a last question of the day.
Yeah, in handling bulk, there are 2-3 issues of sustainability and environment and safety, which are important. One is the environmental pollution, the dust pollution. Once you handle any metal or coal, you generate a lot of dust. And the second thing is a safety issue, because these materials have to be piled in stacks. And this is a high rainfall area and a humid area. And sometimes you would not realize that the water can get into these stacks and behave in a very unpredictable manner by exploding. The same principle by which cloudburst takes place, by which landslide takes place. In fact, if you have a very tall stack of 15 meter or so, and there is rainwater getting into it and it bursts, suddenly workers working around may be doused by it, and death can occur. It has occurred also, not that it has not occurred. Now, these issues have to be looked at very seriously. The first principle is don't allow dust to spread by constantly spraying water on the material, which Paradeep is doing. And since in a port like Paradeep, in major port, these plots are leased out, a lot depends on the lessees to manage those plots. And good lessees like Tata Steel, I have seen, always have the best of practices to make sure that it doesn't generate, that the plot allotted to them doesn't generate dust. But you can't escape the lighter dust from going up, and then in the morning it settles down. This happens in Paradeep. One good thing has happened is that they have put up those very tall partitions all around the stacking area. In fact, they're quite effective. They're effective up to a point. As I said, the very fine dust will still escape and come down. The problem can be worse during winter when the humidity is less, and the dust can go further up and further away from where it originates. But fortunately, for most part of the year, 6 to 7 months, it is humid, and this doesn't take place. These are two very important issues, but sustainability of port operation is a very larger issue. It is you are handling minerals, and the issue of sustainability hunts you right from the moment you mine the mineral to use the mineral. So, and transporting all along the way, the roads, the rail, everywhere, it's a much bigger issue. The intercontinental movement of mineral cargo is a big question mark in future. How much which country will allow to be exported, and a lot will depend on that.
I think we need to do another webinar for that.
Yeah.
Yes. And a final question, Lilith, and then we will close the webinar. This question is from Mr. Ankit Kumar from Vedanta. And his question is, please do share your views from policy perspectives, which the central government should bring to incentivize more bulk cargo handling in major and minor ports. Do you have any suggestions to make to the central government for the incentivize more bulk?
Because the concession agreements which have been signed by various PPP operators with the major ports, they have been evolving, right? So in the beginning when we were not knowing about the issues or the nuisances. So they were signed basis trust, but then we have seen eventually the port, it doesn't work. It doesn't create revenue. It doesn't create the profit, and with the profit, it doesn't create sustainability. So we have given a lot of emphasis and given a lot of things to the central government, which is Ministry of Shipping. And basis that a model concession agreement was made. Also, in the recent times, but it has been now last 6 months, there have been emphasis on bringing the old concession agreement people, the PPP operators, in some way, the tariff or the storage charges, some way at par with the new model concession agreement. So I think that has got hold because of elections and so on. We request the government to work on it and try to give a solution so that we are, working in a way that becomes sustainable for any PP operator to work on. So that is the only request we would like to make to the central government.
In addition with
I shall add one more point. The nearer the port, the less is the pollution or damage of environment or cost of fuel and transportation, etc. Like the industries in further north of Dhamra, let's say, West Bengal, Jharkhand. If there is a port in West Bengal or up north in Subarnarekha, wherever, then that will be the nearest from them. They are coming to Dhamra or Paradip or Vizag, further distance, because these are the deep ports. And a deep port in Subarnarekha or further north in West Bengal would be very, very expensive. Now, the concession agreement has to be more broad-based. It has to give longer period or maybe viability gap funding. Ports have to be made viable in those areas so that ultimately the social cost will be less. The damage to environment will be less. The less distance the material travels, the better it is for society, the better it is for environment. And for that, if a port is not viable, please make it viable by viability gap funding. And other kind of tweaking of concessional terms like 60 years instead of 30 years, etc., which will help the PPP operator to come forward and build that.
Yeah. Dr. Kishore has some point. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. As per Major Port Authority Act 2021, madam, there is a possibility, as Manish Gupta ji mentioned about model concession agreement, we can able to give incentives for the stakeholders who can able to bring the more cargo. That means minimum guarantee cargo. Then accordingly, they can able to get incentives in the vessel related charges or else cargo related charges based upon the operational impact. If you can able to increase the modernized equipment and you can able to handle more cargo as per the PPP agreement, and you will be able to get better incentives comparing with the other PPP operators or else stevedores who are bringing cargo. That's only. The way we are adopting the technology, the way we are taking the way forward for the business.
So I think that was the most important question, and I think that deserve a report also. So after the webinar, we will try and come up with a report. Meanwhile, before we close, I'd like to play a 40 seconds video about our upcoming conference at Visakhapatnam on 21st of June. I request all the participants to participate in the conference as well. So all the users can visit to metalogicpms.com to get the details about the conference and also to take the recording of this webinar. We will soon come up with an articles of what have been delivered by our esteemed panelists. And as we come to the conclusion of our insightful and engaging webinar on advancements in bulk material handling at ports, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you for your active participation and valuable contribution. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest gratitude for our esteemed speakers who have generously shared their expertise and insights with us today. I want to thank Shri Santosh Kumar Mohapatra, independent consultant at Ports Projects and PPV. Thank you for your comprehensive overview, sir, of the strategic development and the opportunities in the port sector. Your extensive experience and perspective have been incredibly enlightening. Manish Gupta ji, I want to thank you for your detailed presentation on the advancements and operational efficiencies that Paradip Terminal has provided us with the practical understanding of how cutting-edge technologies and innovation practices are being implemented on the ground. I want to thank Dr. Kishore Gola from Visakhapatnam Port Authority. We are grateful for your insight into the current trends and futures and digitization and the way forward to port operations. Your discussions on the integration of new technologies and sustainability measures have been particularly thought-provoking. Thank you to each of you for taking the time to join us and for sharing your invaluable knowledge with our audience. I would also like to thank our audience for their enthusiastic participation in all the polls. Your questions, comments, engagement have been greatly enriched and discussed and made this webinar a success. A special mention goes to Metalogic PMS team for their hard work and dedication in organizing this event. Your effort behind the scene are what make event like this possible. Before we wrap up, I would like to remind everybody about our upcoming conference on iron ore on 21st of June. Again, I'm telling you to be there at Novotel Vizag on 21st June. This conference will delve into critical issues and innovations in iron ore beneficiation, production, pelletization, and market dynamics. We look forward to your participation and contribution to make it a landmark event. Once again, thank you all for being here today. We hope you found the session as informative and inspiring as we did. We look forward to seeing you at our future webinars and conferences. Stay safe, stay informed, and keep innovating. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Manish.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, thank you, thank you,
It
Monica.
was a wonderful experience, sir.